Hi, I'm John Strabley. I'm a director here at Quaero in our strategy and planning group. As you may have seen some of our literature and seen some of the other videos, we talk about being a customer engagement agency. And taking a step back, the brand or name Quaero actually comes from the word Latin, to seek and to obtain. And so we work with our clients as a customer engagement agency to obtain additional customer insight through engaging interactions, with the ultimate goal using that insight to drive additional value of their customer base. And so I want to spend a little bit of time today talking about the concept of customer value, how we look at it, and some of the key challenges our clients have in deriving customer value and applying that insight to grow the value of their customer base and ultimately drive additional value to their bottom line. So customer value is one of those terms that's kind of been thrown around a lot. It's a bit of a buzzword, and so I want to spend some time really further defining what we mean when Quaero talks about customer value and some of the key components that we look at. So if we go to the whiteboard, we look at an individual customer's contribution. Now, in many cases, this is taking revenue, subtracting out any costs that we can allocate down at the customer level. Not all of our clients have transactional financial transaction data rolled up to an individual customer. So I'll talk a little bit more about in another segment how we derive value in those instances. The other dimension is time. So we're interested in over the lifetime of the customer, how they're tracking from a value perspective. And so this is kind of present day. So looking backwards, we've got a historical value that a customer represents. And this becomes important when we look at, from an acquisition standpoint, what sources are really historically driving high value customers. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Then we also have what we call an expected value. So what do we expect from this customer going forward over some period of time? So this is expected value. So given everything we know, treatment strategies in place, what do we expect from this customer going forward? And then the third component is this concept of unrealized value. So we know, and so really the unrealized is kind of the difference between the expected and total potential value. So this concept of share of wallet. So we can look at and understand that right now we're capturing X% of this individual customer's overall value. The total of these really represent kind of the potential value. So again, kind of the entire wallet that we're trying to capture. So once we've ascribed individual customers' value, both historical, expected, potential, it allows us to start tiering individual customers by value. And typically, we see a distribution something like this, where you've got 20% in your top tier, and then tier 2 is approximately 30%, tier 3 about 30, and your bottom tier is about 20%. And really what's placing these customers in the tier is really the distribution of their value. So we look at value, really what we see typically is Pareto's rule, the 80-20 distribution, where we've got about 80% of your overall value is tied to this top tier. Then you may see, or we typically would see, maybe about another 15% here, the remaining 5% here, and this bottom tier usually is either unprofitable or marginal, so there's really not much value in here. And the significance of this, obviously, is these folks up here in your top 20% represent the greatest value to your company. And so really what you want to do is from a strategy point, you want to retain these customers. The other piece, you want to understand who these customers are, so you can go out and acquire customers that look and behave like these customers as well, to really improve your customer mix and grow the overall value of your company. The other piece, these customers here in Tier 2, really the strategy here is how do we grow them? Tiers 2 and 3, is there an opportunity to grow these customers up into Tier 1 customers? The bottom 20%, really what we're looking for here is how do we make these more profitable? Are there ways that we can reduce cost to serve? At a minimum, let's not go out and acquire more of these since they are marginal or not profitable. So at a high level, we take the customer value information, we're able to tier and understand where the opportunities lie, and then apply strategic programs to acquire, retain, and grow customers based on their value. So one of the things that a lot of our clients struggle with, they get the concept of the importance of customer value, but sometimes they struggle on where to start. How do we begin this process? And really it's an evolutionary process and approach that we take. And really we'll start with whatever data you have on hand. If we think about this evolution, we're really talking about kind of a spectrum that we examine value on. So we've got on the far left end more kind of a qualitative approach versus more of a quantitative. And really the key message here is the perfect data set doesn't exist. You're never going to have it, but there's value, no pun intended, in starting with what you have to move down this path. So from a qualitative perspective, we're really talking about kind of proxy-based attributes. So you think about pharmaceuticals, if we're talking about a end consumer or patient, at the end of the day, you're never going to know that they've taken a particular medicine. And so really you're looking at engaging customers or patients that have attributes that may be more indicative of someone who's going to stay the course and comply and take all the medicine. You're talking moving more towards the financial. So this is really where we are taking transaction level data at a customer level, looking at not only revenue but cost to serve, and really deriving more at a financial level. The quantitative is really where we're getting into more statistical modeling, and so we're kind of building upon the financial, but we're building more predictive models. So we talk about propensity to purchase an additional product. We talk about kind of that forecasting of future expected value. So really the key message is, even if you're over here, there's a lot we can do with your data that will help drive programs to capture additional customer value. And then part of this process that we go through is really mapping a course for how do you advance your model and your understanding of customer value and what data is required, and really kind of building a roadmap to get there. So a few final key summary points. Quaero is a customer engagement agency. We're focused on helping our clients derive additional value out of their customer base. The concept of customer value is not just theoretical. It's something that can be ascribed and applied. The perfect data set does not exist, so start with what you have and evolve over time. There's an opportunity cost in not doing so.